Half-time between the Kolkata Knight Riders and the Mumbai Indians in Abu Dhabi. And it's been an innings of two halves for the Knight Riders. 5 for 60 at nearly the halfway point, having lost most of their big guns. And then a very neat and handy half-century by Pat Cummins. A few lusty blows from Owen Morgan that gives them 34 of the last two overs to take them to 148 after their 20 overs. Let's see what Akash Chopra and Sanjay Manjrekar make of that. And Whirlpool presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Dell. Akash, thoughts on that score?
See, from all accounts, initially it felt that it was a tough pitch to bat on. The ball is not coming onto the bat nicely, etc. But then there is Pat Cummins, who scores a quick fire, like a rapid 50. Last over yields 24 runs. When On Morgan decides to go after the bowlers, he's able to hit a couple of sixes. So I still feel 148 for 5. They've left at least 15-20 runs on that surface. It is a below par score.
Yeah, the last time the two of you had a slightly differing view on whether a pitch was playing slow, whether batting wasn't up to mark, was this very pitch on the 29th of September, or for the game between Sunrisers and Delhi, as our friend Deep Das Gupta mentioned. And after that day, it's the first time that this surface has been used. So then, Sanjay, you concur with Akash. Is this a tricky pitch? How does 148 for 5 look at halftime for you?
It is a pitch that's not tricky, but it's certainly one on the slower side. And the evidence of that was Bumrah bowling a lot of slower balls. In fact, when Cummins was looking to hit, the big shots, all he was doing was bowling short and slow. So to suggest that the pitch is conducive to bowling the slower ball. So that tells you that this is not a pitch where it can hit through the line. Now, whether Knight has any effect on the pitch, I don't know. It's an open ground, so there's a theory you don't get dew here at Abu Dhabi. So maybe it will continue to assist the bowlers a little bit. But I concur with Akash, they're 15-20 runs short, not so much only because of Morgan's slightly slower innings, also because of what happened at the start. Both Tripathi and Gills struggled to get going. Then Rana is not contributing enough. Dinesh Karthik, come what may, is batting at number 4 for some reason and gets out. So it was a tough thing. And Morgan may be thinking, after me, who else? So let me just hang in there with Cummins. And Cummins, the batsman, has been contributing every time he's come out with the bat.
Yeah, very handy 53 for Pat Cummins. He lost 17 of those runs to Quinton de Kock, who put him down at the end of the 18th over. But this is a question I often have when I hear, views like yours and that Akash's and Sanjay's on tricky pitch, slow pitch. A lot of batsmen struggle, and one guy hits 50 of 30 and tends to look quite good through his innings. The other day, we saw A.B. de Villiers do it against KKR at Sharjah, but that was A.B. de Villiers. So when this happens, how do you make sense of it, Akash? How is it that one guy looks in good touch and everyone else seems to be struggling?
See, I was looking for some hint of spin from Krunal Pandya and Rahul Chahar. Rahul, I think, gave away only 18 in his score, took 2 wickets of 2 deliveries, and Krunal, I think, 23 of his 4. So that if the ball is not spinning as much, but maybe the batsmen were a little more cautious. They're defensive, they're conservative, and they're not going after the spinners unless the ball is turning or stopping, and it did not happen with the 2 spinners. With the faster bowlers, of course, the ball perhaps was not coming onto the bat nicely, but for the spinners, I did not see any spin or the ball stopping in the surface as much for the 2 spinners. As far as Pat Cummins is concerned, see someone who's actually who's throwing his hands at everything, and he's got the power. He's willing to take that chance. Most batsmen do not do that. The moment they whiff just a whiff of turn, a whiff of a ball stopping, they said, okay, let's go on the defensive. Bowlers don't think like that. There is no other game to their armory. This is the only thing that they know. See the ball, hit the ball. They're not going to maneuver because they don't have a second gear. Sometimes these kind of innings can be justified. A.B. de Villiers is a freak. That pitch was a tough pitch to bat on, so he could do what he could do. But in this case, I actually feel that Pat Cummins using the long handle, if it comes off, great. If it doesn't, he's not bearing that pressure, that load, that burden, that what if I get out? It's okay for Pat Cummins to get out, not so much for Owen Morgan.
Yeah, but he hits shots over cover. He hits batsman-esque shots, doesn't he, Sanjay?
Yeah, there was one pass mid-off, which made you look at the pitch. I mean, look at the shot and think, that looks like a good pitch to drive on. But I don't think it's a 200 pitch. So, there are a few runs short. The interesting thing is Morgan's form. I've not been able to sort of put my finger on his batting so far in the IPL. There was one knock
Yeah.
which I don't remember which particular game that was where you saw Morgan at his best. And I
Yeah.
thought after that he's just going to take off because his playing well at that crucial position is so important for KKR. Today, I don't think his, batting that you saw that he was mishitting so much had everything to do with the pitch because I've seen Morgan bat like this. So he's an interesting character who
Hmm.
often, tries to hit, doesn't connect, and then suddenly there'll be one big over where he'll play two breathtaking shots,
Yeah.
which happened in the last over. So that's Morgan, and I don't know whether that is that directly connected with the pitch. But overall, when you look at everything, and Bumrah bowling slower balls all the time, and a lot of seam bowlers are bowling that slow ball, means the pitches are now slowing down. So this is not one of those, high scoring pitch.
All right. Fair
See,
enough. It was.
I've got a theory for Morgan. Actually, we'll it'll get tested. I think as in the next 6 games because the pitches are now slowing down drastically. The totals are also coming down. So on Morgan is considered to be a good player of spin. Uh, See, against rapid pace, we have seen that you can actually trouble him with bouncers and all of that. We've seen that at the highest level as well. But the good player of spin and a good player of spin on turning pitches, I think there are two different things. So on Morgan's IPL career not taking off may have something to do with the fact that the pitches in the subcontinent turn a lot more, and therefore you need a certain kind of game to counter it and be successful. The same spinners at Manchester, at Lords, they're not the same spinners. Those
Yeah.
conditions are not spin friendly conditions.
All right.
10 seconds, Ronak, 10 seconds to
Please,
finish this
please.
point. And I won't put it down so much to his technique or his skills. And I keep saying, let's not underestimate the IPL anxiety that
Hmm.
afflicts a lot of players. And I really see that afflicting and affecting more English players to come into the groove and get onto the, IPL bandwagon and feel a part of it. It takes them a while. So that anxiety seems to
Sure.
stay with them a little longer.
Yeah, seen that in overseas players time and time again. And fair point. Morgan did look his best in that game against Sharjah. Sanjay points that out. Nearly pulled off a heist. Got a decent 42 against Sunrisers at Abu Dhabi as well.
At
Since
Sharjah.
then, patchy. But Rahul Chahar, 2 for 18 in his 4 overs. Conditions notwithstanding. What makes Rahul Chahar special and what makes him take Akash? You mentioned they have limited reserves in spin bowling. It makes Rahul Chahar an important player. He just seems to put in a shift every game.
He does. He bowls fairly quick in the air, so there is no flight as such where you can actually dance down the pitch and hit him, clobber him all over the park. He's fairly quick in the air. He doesn't bowl the bad balls. That's the new thing with these leg spinners. Previously, we would see leg spinners, quality leg spinners who would turn a mile, but they
Yeah.
would often give you bad balls. But now this new generation of leg spinners, they're accurate. Whether it's Ravi Bishnoi or it's Rahul Chahar or somebody else, most of these guys do not bowl half volleys, they do not bowl long hops. They just are there all the time. So not a great turner of the ball. He doesn't even have a great googly per se. But the same can be actually said about Yuzi Chahal because he's also moderate in all departments, but his mind is what it actually differentiates him from the rest. Rahul Chahar, I think, is just his pace and his accuracy that does a lot of batsmen in.
Yeah, it's a funny one, Sanjay, because as a wrist spinner, like Akash says, it doesn't look like he turns the ball much, doesn't rely much on turn, does these uncanny things, has gone right arm over across the wicket at times to a right hander. What do you make
Yeah.
of there and why he's successful?
So the first thing when I saw him the first time when Mumbai Indians gave him that break, they left Markande out and they started backing Rahul Chahar. The first thing that strikes you about him is that he likes bowling out there. He likes the pressure. He wants to be there. That's very important in IPL. He's got a big heart. And when you're playing amongst champion players, you tend to sort of feel confident, more confident than you're playing for a weaker team. The other very important thing is he's not a Kuldeep Yadav. He's
Hmm.
not classical, which means he doesn't turn the ball a mile. Sometimes when you turn the ball a mile, you get room as a batsman. So a lot of these T20 successful bowlers, like Karan Sharma as well, all they're looking to do is attack that corridor. I keep saying that narrow corridor, and you'll see Rahul Chahar do that. If you take out his beehive, a lot of those balls would be hitting stumps. There'll be nothing outside the off stump or leg stump. Subtle sort of variations. But I don't think that is so much his real strength, other than being just this, bowler who bowls in the narrow corridor where the batsman doesn't get the opportunity to free their arm. Like in the last over, you saw, Morgan getting an opportunity with Coulton Isle while the ball was outside the off stump, so he could free his arm. So this is a guy who attacks the stumps and just limits your opportunity. as a batsman to, go big against him.
All right, brilliant. Now, Andre Russell and his lean IPL with the bat continues, Akash. It looks pretty clear now. Everyone's going to have their best bowler reserved for Russell. So, conversely, he needs to be ready to play a Rabada or a Jofra Archer or a Jasprit Bumrah. He's said than done. But what can he do to get effective? Because this is now a pretty poor season with the bat for Russell's extremely otherwise high standards.
I think first things first, that ego has to be left in the dressing room, in the kit bag, because you have to remind yourself every single time, no matter how good you are. And I'm not Russell. I've never had that kind of power where the ego may actually take control of your senses, so to speak. That there is a battle. You know that you walk into bat, there'll be a Rabada, there'll be a Bumrah, there'll be bowling bouncers. Now the option is up to you against a bouncer. It's very difficult to get out playing a defensive shot. If you decide that I am not going to play an aggressive shot against the bouncer, we have seen people score like thousands of test runs without being very competent against the short ball. So if you tell yourself this is it, I am swallowing my pride and ego, and I'll be there. And the fact is, the other side of the story is if he's there for 10 balls, no matter then who comes to bowl, he will be lethal. He will win games. But it's just a little thing of surviving those 10, 12 balls and telling yourself that I'm not going to go after anyone. And these pitches are not helping, to be honest. If you're playing on these surfaces, there is a little bit of extra bounce. So when there is a little bit of extra bounce, the balls that were finishing around the waist height or maybe the rib cage are now targeting or rather reaching his head. So they are uncomfortable balls. But then you have to find a way to negotiate those.
Sanjay?
Well, nothing more to add. I mean, he's absolutely right. There was a time when Virendra Sehwag was struggling a bit with the short ball in another format, not T20. But, Virendra Sehwag scores at a strike rate of 19 test matches. But this guy didn't have the pride, like Akash was mentioning. So I remember that particular phase when they were targeting him with the short ball. All he would do is just try and play it like this for a single and then wait for the ball to be pitched up. And this is much easier. In test matches, they would keep doing it for a longer time. And he actually did that for a longer time before the ball came into his territory that he liked. So Russell's job is simpler. T20s, you're not going to be getting too many of the short balls. So just find a way to negotiate, not score, or try and, prove a point. And all the other balls, wherever they bowl, that's Russell's strong area.
All right, 149 is what the Mumbai Indians need to continue this fine run of wins that they've stitched together. Sanjay, you said in that last game against Delhi, they showed how a 160 odd score needs to be chased. Looking at the conditions, is there any reason to change approach? Chris Green is taking the new ball as I put this question to you. So is there a temptation to take him on in his first IPL game?
I think he's coming because Rohit Sharma has a certain history against leg spinner, so maybe he's bowling that first over. But I've written in my article as well, which will appear tomorrow, is that Mumbai Indians have shown other teams how to chase 160. They don't care if the target is 140, 150. If there's a ball to be hit now, they hit it now.
I like that. I'd like to tell our viewers it's not a subtle plug for Sanjay's article. It's a matter of fact.
Yeah, and I've not mentioned where it's coming, so that's where I've been very responsible.
Absolutely. We expect nothing less from you. Akash, just thoughts on the chase very quickly as Chris Green takes the new ball, Rohit Sharma and Quinton de Kock.
I think it's more to do with actually Quinton de Kock because you really want a slower bowler. Even Rohit Sharma has been dismissed by Washington Sundar in the power play overs, but expect a mix of caution and aggression. I don't think they're going to go just all out and think that, okay, let's finish this off in 16 overs. If they do that, they'll find themselves in a spot of bother, is what I feel. So just respect the good balls, punish the bad balls. There'll be enough coming their way any which way.
Yeah, the other thing I'll quickly touch upon, even though the innings has begun, is we've seen KKR do some peculiar things, Akash, with their bowlers. 3 overs for Pat Cummins, 3 overs for Shivam Mavi on the trot in the power play. Now they're defending a score. Does Pat Cummins' role change today? Were you going to expect him to bowl 3 in the power play today?
There is a new captain. So if there is a new captain, I would like to see new tactics. If the same tactics get repeated, like Karthik is batting at 4 and Morgan demotes himself. So we were all blaming Karthik for demoting Morgan. Perhaps it was not his decision to make. So let's see whether the same role continues. But I do feel that you have to take wickets. If you think that the game is going to go into the 20th over, you'll be shooting yourself in the foot. So try and pick wickets no matter what it takes, whether it's Varun Chakravarti in the six overs in the first 6 overs, or Green or whoever else. The fact is just keep trying for wickets, because this Mumbai Indian batting lineup, they do bat deep.
Yeah, in the absence of Narayan Sanjay and Pat Cummins' lack of wickets in the last few games, does KKR have the bowling attack to make a game of this?
No, I mean, Varun Chakravarti can do the job of getting wickets, and if Chris Green has a great time, that's fine. But in that run chase of 160, you had Quinton de Kock going at 140. Then you had Surya Kumar going at 160 and Ishan Kishan going at 180. So, that just made it easier for the rest of the guys. Even when they lost wickets, it was just a simple job for the rest to finish it. So I expect nothing different tonight.
All right. Well, I've carried on this conversation to see if anything dramatic happens in Chris Green's over, but it's being rather cautiously, rather watchfully played by Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma. So let's see where this game finally ends. Mumbai in pole position. Thank you to Akash Chopra and Sanjay Manjrekar. Get their thoughts at the end of the game on Whirlpool presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Time Out, powered by Dell.
Thank you.